guys, welcome back to my channel. So this week I have a returning client who pretty much has gotten to her goal for gray blending, and so from now we just kind of do a gray blending maintenance every time that she comes in. I would say she probably comes in approximately every 3 or 4 months because that is her preference. It's not mandatory or anything. I personally think her hair still looks great with what we've been doing. But since we are going to be doing a touch-up, she just wanted a recommendation of what I would recommend to make her hair look its best. So in my opinion, some of the ends started to look a little bit darker of a blend than the root. It's not by much, but it was enough for me to notice that the ends did look a little bit darker. So what I'm doing right now, since her roots still look really great, is I'm trying to kind of pick out some of that depth in between on her mids and ends, and notice too that some of the very ends of her hair does look a little bit more of like a warmish brown tone. Now that could be for various reasons. It could just be her natural virgin hair getting lighter from the sun. It could be from her water. It could also be from the toner that we've been using on her hair, because we use a toner that is pretty much similar to like a semi-permanent color. It does get mixed with 5 volume, so it can potentially bump the base a little bit. So as I'm going through her hair right now, I'm just pretty much picking them out. So I'm teasing the sections, kind of weaving the areas where I see those chunks of dark, because we just kind of want to break it up and have the ends look a little bit lighter and have more of that gradual blend to where the roots are darker and the ends are a little bit lighter. Another reason why her gray blending has gotten a little bit more depth towards the ends is because we were mostly retouching her roots. We haven't really done any tip outs on her in a while, so this was a great time to just brighten up those ends a little bit, because we still kind of like the way that her roots looked. Later on, as I get closer towards her hairline and around her face, we will be placing some foils closer to her root, because she generally does like the front to be a little bit lighter. So today's lightener, I'm using the Danger Jones lightener, and I am using just 20 volume because I'm going to get through this foil placement quite quickly. Here, as I'm in the front of her face, I don't want something that's going to grow out too harsh, so I'm going to be doing some just baby lights back to back and leaving some, like as I'm doing her baby light, it's not like not having it too over highlighted. I am trying to leave some depth in between the dropout from the weaves, so that when this grows out, it looks super seamless and just kind of blends with her natural gray. But after I do the money piece section here, I'm going to connect the side money piece and do some weaves around there. And then after we do the money piece, I'm just pretty much going to do the same thing, where I'm going to preserve some of that root and just focus on picking out a lot of the dark in between on the ends. And when I'm doing this too, I want to make sure that I am keeping my sections of the teases very see-through, and just so that I can get a really clean, easy lift. If I take a section that is too thick, sometimes it can create some warmth, and that's not what we want here. We want to try to get the cleanest and the lightest lift. So I want to make sure that these sections are nice and see-through, and just taking diagonal backs up the side here. So since I'm pretty much doing more of a weave and tease placement for her hair color, I am doing a slight diagonal back for every slice that we do, and my sections, you can see, are pretty thick. I would say, depending on how dense the ends felt, is kind of how thick I kind of went up with the teases. So her hair is kind of layered, so it just kind of varied by how much hair was on the bottom and how much was I able to tease. And for this placement too, I'm pretty much just going up the side of the head and really just trying to go through and take slight diagonal back horizontal sections and just pretty much trying to pick out as much dark on her ends as possible. She does like to feel more dimensional, so that's why I opted to tease her instead of doing my signature placement that goes all the way to the root, because I just want to break up and just enhance her gray instead of making her a little bit lighter, since I was already really loving the way that her roots were growing out from her last highlight. And again, this client goes, I would say, anywhere from like 3 to 4 months in between her touch-ups, and sometimes we will lighten up the ends, sometimes we'll lighten up the roots. It just depends on what we're kind of seeing, how it's growing out, and what would look best according to what the placement, how it's grown out, and how she's feeling as well too. And we normally do the same toners, so for her hair we'll use the Danger Jones Artistic Toners later, and we usually will mix up something that is going to be more on the violety side because she does like it to last as long as possible. And here I'm just pretty much doing the other side, and you can see I'm carefully picking out any dark pieces that I see and just going through teasing them, weaving them, and just painting them at a slant, at an elevation, and at a diagonal back. And that's just going to create extra softness and diffuse any type of lines. So a little pro tip on brushing out teases is I like to pull out the foil and I try to just rinse the area where the bleach has been on the ends and try to avoid wetting the tease, because I find that once you wet the hair where the tease is, it can make it a little bit harder to brush out. Right now you can see I have pulled some of the foils, and then some of them that aren't as ready I am resaturating and just putting them back in the foil. And then again, just brushing out the teased area while it's still dry, and then wetting it all through once I've brushed out most of that tease. So now I'm going in with the gloss toners. I am using a shadow root for her toner to start off with. For her shadow root, I am going to be using the Danger Jones gloss toners in the 5-1, and I'm just placing it on the areas, just kind of break the line of demarcation if there is any. And then I am going to use the artistic toners. For the artistic toners, I'm going to be using the silver and the violet blonde. So like I said earlier, the artistic toners have potential to kind of bump the base a little bit in between the virgin hair, in between the highlights. So to kind of avoid it bumping the base a little too much or creating a little bit too much warmth or lift, I try to mix the artistic toner in the bowl and just like pre-mix the whole formula and let it air out. And I find that airing out the artistic toner for that reason helps with bumping the color, the virgin hair in between the highlights as it tones. But this toner tones extremely fast. I would say in about 10 minutes it should all be done.
How does everything feel, Sandy?
Love that shampoo. Oh, it feels nice.
I'm gonna cut it.
Okay.
Give you a little trim.
Nice.
Yay! Now everything looks so much more cooked
Yeah.
instead of through the top and bottom. Okay.
Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. I absolutely love the way that this came out. It looks super seamless, and I know that every time we do her hair color, it grows out so soft and just blends extremely well with her gray pattern. And this is a great way to do gray blending without making your clients feel too blonde, but giving them enough dimension and brightness so that it blends so seamlessly with their natural gray pattern. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.